Well, straight into it. We've got a huge game. We've just seen those two teams. They've been blistering this season, competing for the title. Two outstanding competitors. But we're going to start with the blue half. We're going to start with Manchester City. And one man in particular, Ruiz, really made you enjoy watching Manchester City, I'd say, this season.
Yeah, it's true. Stones. I think he's doing a very good for City. Okay, we can see by the average position what he's occupying, being in a natural central back, playing a different position. One thing is to play facing the game, another thing is to play with the back to the attacking game, with players around. So all that brings up the individual qualities he has, and the fact that he's repeating the position is because Pep is happy with what he's getting from him.
Well, it's not the typical heat map you'd expect to see from, I'm going to say a centre-half, but is he a centre-half, Leroy? Is he a right-back? Is he a midfielder?
I've always seen him as a very good footballer. A very good footballer. And do you know what? Sometimes it used to be a little bit frustrating because I think, you played with him at Everton.
I did play with him, yeah.
And at some clubs, they didn't want to slow the game down. They wanted to quicken the pace up, and just felt that John Stones just dwelt on the ball a little bit too much. But with Pep is exactly what Pep wants. Because when John Stones gets on the ball, he draws players towards him. He'll take that little pause and you think, oh, what's he doing? But what he's doing is dragging people in. And that confidence, and he's exuding confidence at Man City. But you play with him at Everton, you know a good footballer.
Leroy, that was it. That was exactly it. We were at Everton, we were a team that needed to move the ball forward quickly, get it into the opposition's half, try and, find moments where the opposition were weak and they were exposed because they hadn't recovered into position. John Stones did take probably a touch too many back then, but he never got caught on the ball. He was always comfortable. He likes to draw players in and try and show how good he was. And you could see he was going to play it at the very, very top. And it's been no surprise to see his rise through Pep Guardiola's teams and the development he's had. I think what has surprised me is the amount of different positions he's been able to cover in this Pep Guardiola team.
Yeah, well, we've got some clips here, and we just want us to talk us through. There he is at the bottom. I'm just going to pause it here and just highlight him there at the bottom of your screen. Yeah. What do you think of that position?
Here he's playing as a third defender on the right, so it's also a natural position for him. And the reason why, and I think, of course, I'm not in Pep's head, but I can try to understand the reason why he's there and the reason why Walker is on this side. I believe that if the opposition comes with a back four, he would play as a sixth position on the side of Rodri, and Walker would do the third defender. Because they play with five in the back, and can you highlight the six players in attack? Pep wants to overload the space in between the lines, in the back of the midfield from Leicester in this match. So the fact he has a six players against five, okay, and in this case is Mahrez that is coming inside, De Bruyne, Haaland, is Bernardo, I believe, and Grealish. And to do this position open wide needs to be a player like Walker. Is more about his qualities and his characteristics. That's why Stones is playing this position. So I repeat, if they are playing with the back four, I would believe that Kyle will be playing here and we will have Stones in the middle on the side of Rodri. Again, with the same objective, that is probably Mahrez will be open. Probably, no, for sure, Mahrez will be open, Grealish, and two players again between the lines, between positions, in the back of the pressure.
You mentioned that Pep wants to get as many players as he can, and overload, in fact, in behind the opposition's midfield. And despite us always looking at this end, as you said, we've seen Mahrez out wide, we've seen other players in the number 10 positions. John Stones is a key to how they line up to do it.
Yes, it's fundamental because his quality, his pass, is the capacity to see the vertical pass, the pass in between lines, to feed the players in attack, again, in between lines, is really important to see in front and not just playing to the sides, because in this case, you want to find these people. And again, the wide mans will, when they will probably receive in their fits to go to 1v1 situations, or even they can also receive behind because they are quick players with good intensity. The same with Haaland. But again, you depend on quality players to feed the players in attack.
And that's the key. They're quality players at the back. They embrace this because as soon as the defenders wouldn't be happy with this formation because they're thinking they want people they can just give it 10 yards to. But these defenders, you've got Stones, we were talking about, obviously Diaz and Laporte, all quality, all comfortable on the ball and happy for them to be...
Yes,
up
side
the
close. You know, the quality is already trying to look in front. He's closed. He goes to the side again, but the ball will come back again. And easy, always in conditions to feed the attack, to bring the ball with this quality, to progress and try to break some lines. Again, it's clear the idea, and it's difficult to play against.
Well, they moved up the pitch without Leicester able to lay a glove on them there, and we've seen the control that Manchester City have. This one, slightly different. He's... I mean, the amount of touches he has in this position. He's playing in a midfield. We've seen it very often, haven't we? I'll just pause it there.
The highlight.
You want to highlight?
Yeah, so highlight means there. He's at the top of your picture there. You wouldn't expect him to be there.
Yeah. He's there. Okay, Kevin is De Bruyne that came down, so he got a position higher. Doesn't make sense that he's there once De Bruyne is there. But again, him with Rodri, they are playing against the back four. We have normally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players that will be enjoying to play again behind the pressure. Sometimes they drop in between positions to try to receive the game, always to link with attack. But the superiority is here, is clear. They want that, and for that they attract the midfield, the attacking players. If you watch, Liverpool doesn't want to go to press there. They want to try to close the middle.
Yeah, just want to
and
pause
it's hard to go and press and press.
And it's important because the quality John Stones has when he's coming into that position, it allows De Bruyne to get in his favoured position in that area there, in that space there where they've got that overload. We've seen De Bruyne work in that position, and when they try and work it to him, because he's of such quality and can come into that area, De Bruyne is comfortable in moving into that area.
Not all the players can do this, and that's why we are here speaking about qualities. He's playing there because he has the quality. And if we remember the match against Arsenal on the 15th February that City beat Arsenal 3-1, was Bernardo playing in a position that Stone on the side of Rodri. So he was coming from a left-back position when defending to the midfield to make the double position. In this case, he found on Stone's qualities enough to do a job like Bernardo. Bernardo is completely different skills as a defender than Stones can give, of course.
Well, that's it.
And he's beautiful, the quick how he turns, he finds players wide, you know.
But that's, you know, we spoke on the last clip about, as you mentioned, trying to get the overload of players
always
in behind the midfield of the opposition. And whichever way he tries to use John Stones is always to try and get that overload behind the opposition midfield.
Again, attracting the midfield, creating doubts to the opponent, difficult to cope with the players.
Yeah, he does it very well. And the other thing, you know, when we talk about defenders, it's all right them playing it short pass. They've got to recognise when to play the long pass and have that ability to play the long pass as well.
And the quality.
And the quality, because we talk about Van Dijk when Liverpool were so good, how they missed that long pass because you've got to recognise when it's on and have the quality to deliver. And John Stones has that.
Yeah, he really has it. You know, if you want to attack and if you want to be in control of the game, players behind, they need to feed the attacking players and they need to find, you see, like these possibilities, the players that come up in between positions, in between lines, because everything from here is quick, is to attack the goal and try to get the best out of the space you can get for a fraction of a second. It's all about time and space.
Well, we've seen him in an attacking sense. Now, let's have a look at him on the other side to show that it's not about necessarily him always on the ball. The balance he seems to give to this team is incredible, despite what position he plays.
Can you stop the image? Okay, here is can you go back a little bit because it's good to see this. Okay, so now he's on a right back position with a line of 4 and +2 in the middle, and I think he's Gundogan doing the double there. So they are in a 4-2-3-1. Okay, so this is a completely structure from the structure they have when they have the ball. So before we spoke about this, you can use different structures within the team. Then the team is dynamic and can change according with opponents. But here, you need to try to balance and maybe meet the opponent when respecting the opponent and try to be balanced in occupying your spaces. The position where Stones comes out, you will see another good thing. Just let it go a little bit. So Stones is coming out and Akanji is coming to the side. Stop. And is Rodri who comes, there is a gap here. Is a gap that happened here because Akanji is the central back, but he slides to the right side. And Rodri tries, once Stones is out of position, Rodri tries to compensate there, even if he's protected by Ruben Dias behind.
Yeah.
But anyway, all the team is capable to identify small moments where they need to be balanced. This is a stable team. Is a team with maturity, with information, with a lot of work on, and is coming back and recover a position as a right back.
Yeah.
We
were talking about.
They win the ball, and again they try to find the ball in between lines.
This is one of the key things for me, though. I mean, when he's now playing as one of those two midfielders, if they do get stretched and they find an Akanji in this position, it's his ability to get back into there and make them a back four as quick as possible.
His natural position goes again on the direction of. Can you stop? Of what we were just speaking before. Is Akanji that slides to the right side and he just comes to a natural position. So he jumps to play as a midfield because he has the abilities to play with the pressure around him. But then it's also easy to step back and integrate a line of four and give balance to the defensive line.
We're just falling. How has Pep fallen upon really having four centre-halves in his back line, all the real big quality, all really good stats, all really good in the air? Obviously, you know, Zinchenko's moved on to Arsenal. Cancelo's been put out on loan. Walker is a little bit out of favour. Is that a massive in favour of Man City? Because they've got four fantastic defenders who are normally centre-halves but are now operating sometimes as a back four.
Yeah, can you stop a little bit? Sometimes is that you find things during the work, is because Stones is there for 6-7 years already. So he's working with Pep from the beginning and is now doing the job. So it's something that came up probably with training, with watching the player, understanding his abilities. Before you were speaking about that, he always give one more touch. Sometimes you watch matches that it seems everyone has an emergency light on their head and everyone just wants to run forward. And it's important in the game that you have people that, gives the pace to the game and it gives the time to think and team to organize and see the opponent's movement to see the spaces happening.
Well, he was definitely the odd one out in my team, having that in his ability. Well, it's now time to talk about Arsenal, who've had a little stumble in the last couple of weeks. I don't think anyone can say otherwise. Given up a couple of goals leads in a couple of games, struggled to get back into the game against Southampton. And that's where we're going to start that game against Southampton. How difficult or how important is it, Rui, when you're feeling pressure, the running for a title, is it to start a game well?
It's fundamental. I'm sure because I lived it in different clubs, when arrives to this moment of the season where you know that mistakes are crucial, especially in results, if you want to play for the title, that you cannot do those mistakes. If you start wrong, pressure build up, and the pressure is already building up for Arsenal, and starting this way doesn't help anybody.
Yeah. It's a real shame for Ramsdale because he's had a great season. And the reason he's had a great season is because he has been so confident on the ball. And teams kind of get control of the game in different ways, don't they? A lot of teams want to go long and stretch the game and get up the pitch. But for Arsenal, this is fundamentally how they get control of the game. And it didn't work out for them, did it?
Do you remember back, years ago, we would always say, right, first moments in the game, play that long, play that ball all the way out
in the opposite side.
Midfielders get up behind it, we'll squeeze the play.
Yeah.
It's just
try to win the first or second ball, running behind. Yeah.
Things are so different now, aren't they? So teams are trying to play. I do think it's a pretty difficult pass he's trying. It's one Southampton are obviously aware of. It was one they were expecting. There were easier passes to have played that would have given them an opportunity, but
Or even to the other side.
of course, but
Or even not so close to the goal, even a second line behind. You know, is really hard to cope starting the match and be losing immediately.
Yeah.
you know, it was a big mistake to make. But you know, they backed it up with this. There's a lot of talk about the difference between Holding and Saliba, Leroy, isn't there, at the moment?
And I just want to take that back just a tiny bit, because I think this is one of the differences, because Holding isn't as quick as Saliba, so their starting positions are always different. And look at Holding here, you know, he's 10 yards behind.
I think that is
really important.
is important in a sense of, if we look back and see what Saliba brought to this Arsenal this season, that is one of those things, is the capacity he has to squeeze the team and help the team to press high, especially with the pace he has to, if he needs to recover a position, if the opposition plays behind. So that is fundamental. What he brought into the team as his qualities, of course. And another thing is, it's not easy for Holding to replace, so we cannot be also unfair with him to replace a player that had so much importance for Arsenal this season. And again, on this situation, it's true. You need to be quicker coming out and pressing.
Because you feel that if he does start there, then he can get tight to him.
And this is one of the qualities that Saliba brings into the team. That is the capacity he has to come and press in between lines, to do this run there and really try to cope with the player in between lines.
Do you think that's what happened? Do you think Saliba comes out and presses that situation and gets in Alcaraz's face and really makes it different? Holding just seems to drop away.
It's a completely different situation. He drops back. That has influenced the fact that, you know, he's not playing so often. He's now replacing again a player that he was doing so well for Arsenal. But also here, I think Gabriel needs to do better, because he's running behind, that he needs to be in control. You know, he knows the player is there, and he loses the duel.
Well, speaking of him, how difficult or how different is it when you take a centre-back out of an established back four? How much does that affect the other three around him, especially his centre-half partner?
You know, it's difficult. You play, you know that every time you have a stability in your back four and you need to change it, that has an influence. And here is the point that I think Saliba makes a huge difference, is how much he influenced the overall team in the question of confidence. In a moment where emotions are high and that you need to control those emotions, the fact that you don't have a so important player on the pitch have an influence on the confidence of everyone, you know. And a part of that also what he contributes in offensive game, not just the defensive side of it. But again, is not everything down to Holding. To be fair, there are things he could be doing better and more according with what Saliba was doing. But the team is also conceding goals with mistakes, individual mistakes and collective mistakes. And this is an example of that.
Well, Holding seems to be the guy that things are happening around him, because Arsenal do zonal, and that's, you know, these are the areas that they have to do, and that space is Holding space where the goal come from. It's a clever run into that position, but because of the spaces and the static movements of Arsenal, Southampton are able to, because they're on the move, take advantage of those moments.
Again, we are speaking about the zone, and I had the opportunity to speak about that before. Is no one responsibility, because it's a collective thing. So when you say, if you go man to man, you want to point one finger to a guy and say that he's responsible for what happened. Here is a collective situation. So the Holding position is him in control of the area, the zone that they want to cover, because after you lose that first ball, you know that nobody is marking anybody. So everyone is free, and a man that comes on, once you lose this first fight, you know, the man on second post is completely free, and again, this is a collective
and it's amazing,
thing, you know.
It's amazing how many headers Saliba won, you know, when he was in the side. You know, you look back to when he's in the side, those duels, they stop goals. That's why you need centre-halves who are dominant.
They do. That's Arsenal defensively. But let's have a look at the difference of Arsenal in possession. This is Saliba on the ball, Rui. The confidence he's about to show.
Yeah, the confidence, you know. you need to be confident to risk a situation like this, coming out from the pressure and seeing immediately forward, and from this creating an opportunity for Arsenal.
And it makes such a difference. We talked about John Stones and what they do, why they build from the back. It's exactly the same for Arsenal when they've got people who are comfortable on the ball as well.
This is I think the clip that shows exactly what he brings to Arsenal in possession. Look where he picks the ball up. Okay, Fulham have dropped away.
Yeah,
they're
space
not
is there, he
offering-
projects.
Space is there, so he takes it.
He takes it and he projects with the ball.
I just wondered there, would you think Fulham would drop away if Holding was playing there? Would you think there'd be, if you were in the Fulham dressing room,
I think
would you
here
press it?
is a strategic decision from Fulham. I believe here they are already losing the match. So before they were pressing high. But anyway, he's receiving, and this is one of his qualities. That is the capacity he has to look forward and to try to find, again, a bit similar like City does, find the players in between lines, and this fundamental, the people you have behind to see those passes.
Well, this is the counter of that. This is
Yeah.
the opposite of that, unfortunately.
You're just
Okay,
highlighting
but
very quickly,
again,
on the ball.
we are speaking about a player that normally he has a big responsibility to cover a position that someone was doing before, Saliba was doing before so well. But again, it is unfair to rely everything on him, because I think there is a lot on the team to speak about.
Well, you're right, but there's a certain nervousness that spreads around. I mean, if you're used to playing with a player that's playing positive passes, we've just seen Saliba driving into this position.
The confidence changes, even the times you feed the possibilities to attack the opponents is less, because he is not so confident. Maybe he plays to White on the side, or even to Ramsdale back, instead of trying to find that pass that you just highlight. So, he came back to Ramsdale, and, you lose the possibilities, You have, again, another possibility to try to play that ball. But again, teams are moments, and I don't think this is the best moment. Unfortunately for Arsenal, is their best moment. The confidence is dropping, the emotions are coming high, are taking control of players. The experience is not the best to be in this kind of situation. The opposition, they look to the opposition, and the opposition is stable and has a lot of stability. City in this case.
Oh, Mikel Arteta's trying to encourage the play, trying to encourage...
play forward.
As I say, play forward again, but...
Players are different. When players are different, dynamics change, and is a huge influence on.
Play him the pass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. No, I feel for him, because I think he's done a decent job. I just think that Saliba is so good. It's been such a find for Arsenal. That
no, he had a great influence on Arsenal game, and I think the team feels the fact that he's not on the pitch, and in the end, finish having influence, but an overall influence on their game and on their confidence.
Yeah.
But this, I mean, it's very rare you see players that have that much of a difference to your win percentage.
Yeah,
Have you ever had someone that was that important to your team?
We had in the past players that were important. You as a coach, you can never say we are in trouble because we don't have this player to do a match. Everyone, always need to to motivate the players. But players know, and players understand that there are differences, especially on the quality and on the time playing.
absolutely.
That was a big game, Leroy.
Massive game.
Huge game
Looking
coming
forward
up,
to
but
it.
unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. So thanks to Leroy and to Rui. It has the potential to be the game of the season. It could decide where the title ends up in May. It's Blue v Red, North v South, Master versus Apprentice. This huge game has it all. And one thing is for certain, you won't want to miss it.